Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. More importantly, Ole Miss every day. And with fall camp going right now, we needed to bring Pratt Rogers into the house to talk about what is going on. How are we doing, Pratt?
Man, Steven, doing great. How are you, my friend?
Oh, man, I'm just absolutely peachy. Fall camp's on. I've got the SEC preview to film at 8:30 tonight as we record this. So like 2 hours from now, I've got to do that as well. So this is going to be a long night.
That's awesome. By the way, I like your SIP shirt. I've got the exact same hoodie. Mine's actually coincidentally in the wash right now. I love that.
Yeah, I got this from the College Corner, who's coincidentally opening a new location in Oxford, Mississippi. If anybody is interested in going on, they get stuff to us in Central Florida. I ordered this on one day, and 2 days later, it was in my mailbox.
Well, look, that was an unintentional plug, but that's awesome. Looks good.
That was an unintentional, intentional plug.
There we go.
Yeah, kind of similar to my Dead Soxy arrangement behind me.
I like it.
So Michael Trigg is, let's see, for lack of a better word, like just a fall camp situation where tempers rose and all of that. And that made news and everybody started talking. Next thing you know, the whole fan base was talking about it. And before we get into this, I do want to let you know that there was apparently a huge brawl in LSU's practice today where Malik Neighbors and Harold Perkins and all of them got sent off the field as well. So understand that it's really hot out there and tempers are going to flare. And honestly, in camp situation, fights are not necessarily a bad thing.
I get that, Steven. And I agree in majority with you. Had this been anybody other than Trigg, this doesn't even get reported. Nobody even finds out about this. This is a non-issue all in all. Like, no big deal. But the fact that Trigg is on such thin ice right now, everybody is just hoping he, can go out there and succeed. And I feel like maybe part of the fan base is saying, being pessimistic and looking for reasons for him to fail because of last year's underperformance. But look, I don't think this is a huge story. I do think he's on thin ice, and I think that he's really got to get it together. And, getting in altercations on the practice field doesn't help his cause necessarily. But I agree, this is no big deal, right?
Yeah, it's no big deal. And also, I don't agree that he's on thin ice because thin ice denotes that they're getting tired of him and they're ready to cut bait. And with Michael Trigg's talent, he has the ability to be Brock Bowers. You get a lot of leash. There's a lot of ice whenever that talent's on the table.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So we'll see exactly how that goes. Like I said, Michael Trigg, by the time Mercer flows around into the atmosphere or whatever, Michael Trigg, all of this could be all for naught, essentially.
Well, let me ask you this, Steven. Do you think with the addition of Priestcorn, do you feel like Trigg's leash has gotten a little bit shorter because you do have a viable backup option, or not really, or is that not even a non-conversation piece?
No, I don't think so, because any coach is going to look at a situation at just any individual player's talent. Not that you have a talented backup. That's a luxury. He's going to look at the talent of the individual player and what he's seeing with Caden Priestcorn. And I guarantee you, Lane Kiffin, this is popping through his head, is he's seeing Caden Priestcorn playing that attached H-back type tight end that we're used to in this Ole Miss offense, and then Michael Trigg playing out in the slot. That is what he's seeing. And he's seeing that mismatch that could happen out in the slot whenever you put him out there. Now, we're going to have some speedy guys, and there's going to be some different stuff that kind of flows through there. But this option, I'm sure he is unbelievably intrigued about what could possibly happen.
No, I get that. And I think I also read somewhere, maybe David Johnson had an interview with Priestcorn, and Priestcorn kind of spilled a little bit of the beans, saying that I may be botching this, but it was something along the lines of, oh, yeah, we're excited for competition and all that, And it was an interview with Trigg, I think is actually what it was. And Trigg said something along the lines of, yeah, I'm excited for competition and we're going to run a dual tight end set. So that will be awesome to see. I mean, you can't run a dual tight end set if Trigg's on the bench. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this over and over and over again. Ole Miss fans need to be aware and understand positional versatility. The same plays ran on the offense at a different personnel groupings. You're not necessarily going to have a tight end. You might have Quinshon Judkins playing as a tight end, depending on what Ole Miss wants to do and the matchups that they want to create. The positional versatility of this team could take this offense from great to elite. And that is something to keep an eye on.
Well, I'm ready.
So you texted me today, and the way this works, so anybody that's watching this, Pratt texts me the comments, and I'm actually not in on what we talk about much at all. It's all his ideas. And one of the things he said, is it time to panic with Camarion Franklin? What's going on with Camarion Franklin, man?
Panic, strong word. I agree. I'm just not feeling the rainbows and butterflies with Camarion Franklin. I feel like there's been no reporting since even really before Juice Fest of something positive that would give me an encouraging feeling about Franklin. We both agreed that him skipping Juice Fest on the last show or 2 shows ago, whatever it was, is no big deal in itself. But if you're starting to see a trend of no positive news, or maybe him not showing back up to campus, or maybe no one-on-one time with the coaches, then do you start hitting the, oh, hey, I'm getting worried button. Maybe not full big red panic button yet, but I think, should you be getting close to that, Stephen?
No, I don't think so at the moment, because they've started fall camp, and that's the reason you're not hearing anything out of them, because he's just concentrating on playing football. Now, there was a situation, I think there was a Twitter rumors going around about something to do with Auburn and him, and how they were all excited. And Auburn Twitter is just a disaster. So just be careful if you get into that wilderness. But they were doing that, and Camarion Franklin actually had to come out and say, unless you hear it from me, it's not true. And if that is truly directed toward Auburn, that's going to be a negative. And once again, this is the 3-horse race for his signature. Now we'll see. I interviewed Brian Smith, who is the Locked On recruiting expert, but he also covers Miami fairly heavily. So this is an invaluable resource for me during this Camarion Franklin recruitment. And I was like, hey, Brian, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know. And then Tennessee's like, Tennessee doesn't know either. Neither does Auburn, and neither does Ole Miss. So nobody is hearing anything. So what that tells me is 2 things. 1, nobody knows what's going on. And 2, Camarion Franklin is just enjoying the heck out of his recruitment at the moment.
So nobody knowing is a better, more optimistic approach than the other 2 schools, or one of the other 2 schools, or 3 schools, excuse me, knowing and it being kind of kept on the hush hush. Maybe that's a good way to look at it, Stephen. If Auburn, I will say Auburn should be at the best case scenario 4 in this race. And if we lose Camarion Franklin to Auburn, boy, we're going to have a tough show the following Monday. I'll tell you that.
Well, you know what? Yeah, that would be terrible. The school that I've been pretty steadfast during this whole recruitment, and I might be the only one that is talking about this, is I genuinely think Miami is a real threat. And then more so than Tennessee, honestly.
I would probably be a little bit of the opposite on that. No reason why, just gut instinct. But would you put Ole Miss at probably 3 in the race right now? Because I probably would. I'd probably put them tied for second with whomever. I
think it's Ole Miss and Miami.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Tennessee's running a 3rd.
Okay. All righty.
Now he could end up at Tennessee. Like I said, he's enjoying this recruitment. Yeah. He could end up anywhere in this NIL age and everything. And like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if he went until February before he signed.
That's disgusting. I'm going to be sweating it out till February. I don't even want to think about that.
Because in this age to where he can take as many official visits as he wants to, once he can take those official visits during the season, it's going to change for him. a little bit. It's going to be a 4-horse race until September. And all of a sudden you're going to hear that he's taking an official visit to Oregon. He's taking an official visit to USC.
Steven, don't say that, man.
Yeah,
that's just like heartbreak central.
Yeah, I guarantee you this is going to happen. And he's going to be really close. And then all of a sudden it's going to open back up. I'm telling you, he's enjoying his recruitment, and he should. He's the number 1 player in the state of Mississippi. Now, does that change anything? I don't think so. Not for Lane Kiffin. It might change for Tennessee. It might change for Miami. I don't think it's going to change for Ole Miss. I think Ole Miss is going to be in this till the end.
No, I 100% agree with that. At this point, I feel like, within the next month or so, maybe, if you're still talking to a recruit every day, you're in it till the end because you've already put so much legwork in. It's getting to the point of, hey, no matter what, I got to push to the finish line. There's no backing out now on somebody. Even, we've been talking about Camarion Franklin, but even somebody like Noreel White. I mean, we've been in with him, and conversations have been circling with him for a long time now. I feel like you get to a point where you're so deep in with the prospect that there's no turning back. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, that is true. And also, if anybody is looking for true signs that Camarion Franklin is coming to Ole Miss, if he does not come to a home game, if he does not get to a home game in the month of September, he's not coming to Ole Miss.
Yep. I think that's a valuable insight, and don't disagree with you on that. That would be also a tough pill to swallow. Yep. We need some good news, or at least a result here soon.
Next recruit to answer the call to Ole Miss. Next commit.
All right, that is definitely a positive spin. I would probably go. We've seen Dylan Hip commit on Sunday. That probably would have been my.
They've gotten 7 commitments in 7 days since the Manning Center opened.
I saw that, and I think you and I both kind of agreed how awesome the Manning Center was. I didn't really think it would affect recruiting the way it has. I thought it'd be more of an added bonus. And hey, look how cool this is. It's in the diagram anymore. I know you and I had that conversation, but. Man, has this opened the floodgates? But to answer your question, maybe Kewan Lacey, running back. I think that could be a viable option. Thoughts?
I think Kewan Lacey is going to end up in Ole Miss's class. I don't think he's going to commit to Ole Miss until late November, early December.
Okay. All righty. Well, look, give me yours then.
I think it's either going to be one of 2 players will be the next commitment to Ole Miss. Either it'll be Noreel White, or it'll be Trevor Jackson.
So I feel like Noreel White is just like, he's been on the tip of the tongue for so long. Everybody keeps saying, oh, another week, this week, or, 30 days, or, oh, he'll decommit any day now. And I don't know. He just doesn't mind dragging things on either. But
he's just enjoying his recruitment.
Would be a good one too, for sure, though.
And I am going to see Trevor Jackson play. Jones High is playing Osceola High down here. About 30 minutes from my house, and I'm going to go catch that game. I think that is September 8th.
Oh, super cool. Yeah.
So I'll go catch that game, and September 22nd, I'm going down to Sebring, Florida to see Clearwater Central Catholic and Andy Jaffe play against Sebring High School.
That's awesome. Being in Florida, you have access to a lot of talent. Mississippi does too, but
especially in Polk County.
Yeah.
Especially in Polk County. Man, there's players everywhere in this county.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But it's nice that Ole Miss has some inroads in areas that I can go see Ole Miss commitments as well.
How far is IMG from your house?
It's about 2 hours.
Okay.
It's in between Tampa and Sarasota.
Okay, cool. Yeah. That would be somewhere I would enjoy going to. You would see somebody special going to one game,
And I haven't decided that I'm going to do it. I want to read the tea leaves on it and figure out what's going on exactly. But I might go see an IMG game this year because Jimothy Lewis is playing.
I was about to say, completely forgot. Yeah. Jimothy
Lewis
is over there.
They're on the list, but I'm not willing to do it until I hear more than just unsubstantiated rumors.
Yeah. Well, real quick, this may be an off topic. While we're talking about Jimothy Lewis, do you think he's kind of locked into state?
No.
Okay. All righty. I hope you're right.
I think it's a situation that as long as he is in Madison, Mississippi, he is locked into state. When he goes back to school and everything opens up and there's not the people that can protect him at all times, I think it's going to be interesting. And Georgia and all of these major programs are knocking on the door of Jimothy Lewis. So it's not just Ole Miss you have to protect from. You have to protect from really big schools.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah, and I don't know if, whatever happened to get the commitment, whatever, he visited Ole Miss 3 times in 9 days and he committed to Mississippi State.
I kind of heard through the grapevine, maybe not something we can discuss on the show, but that Ole Miss kind of rubbed him the wrong way on a few things. Is that true, false? You heard anything?
I haven't heard that.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's absolutely something could absolutely be positive. I think that in that vein a little bit, I think Ole Miss has created a little bit of a CJ Johnson, a reverse CJ Johnson and JJ Harrell.
That would be cool.
And it's just a situation to where I don't think he would, even if he could go to Ole Miss and wanted to go to Ole Miss, he's not coming to Ole Miss now.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that would be cool to end up, I guess you called it a reverse CJ. Anyway, yeah. I got you now. I was going to say that would be cool for him to end up at the flip. And then you sit there, our class would really kind of come down to the finish line. I mean, we would have a lot of moving pieces the last few months of signing day, I would think. But, very, very optimistic, I guess. But, a lot of moving pieces.
One player that I really enjoyed breaking down was San Francisco McGee.
So I listened to your breakdown on that. Yeah, he sounds like somebody who'll be really come in, and I think it may take him a while. And I think somebody could really be a valuable player towards the end of his collegiate career for sure. Yeah, somebody State really wanted, I think.
Yeah, is somebody. He's bigger than Vince was. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Vince Sanders.
Hey, great collegiate career.
Mm-hmm. He's a super athletic guy, and his athleticism and size is really going to help him out in the offense.
Well, good. Yeah, I think that would be great. Yeah, he's a good addition.
All right. Thanks for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team, Ole Miss, every single day. Pratt, thank you so much for stopping by, man. And we'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, man. See ya.
All right. Bye.